Hello, everyone. Welcome to Most Academy's 2022 Summer IB Biology Preview class. My name is Sunny Caitlin Yoon, and I'll be teaching IB Biology this summer. I've been educated from primary school to high school in an international school abroad, and I've graduated Seoul National University in Korea and mastered in the study of medicine. Teaching students has always been a part of my life, and I really enjoy it. And I hope all the students who attend my class also find it very helpful and enjoyable. The year one SL class will be covering topics like cell biology, molecular biology, genetics, ecology, and evolution and biodiversity. For the HL class, we'll be covering cell biology, molecular biology, genetics, and the additional higher level topics 7, 8, 9, and 10. My class goal is easy, efficient, and Excel. I would like the students to find the topic very easy and help them study in a more efficient manner, and also would like to help students to meet their maximum potential through my class. To do so, I'll be talking about facts, concepts, and important terminologies based on the syllabus. And I will also help them formulate answers, especially essay question answers and the past paper questions, and also answering all the simple short answers from the past paper questions from 2018 onwards. The topic I'll be covering today for the preview class is topic 2 about water. So water, H2O, we all know, is very common and very abundant in our life, but it's very important. So we would like to talk about its characteristics and why it's important in our life, okay? So water consists of one oxygen atom and two hydrogen atoms. As we can see in the picture below, the oxygen atom is very big compared to the hydrogen atom. So they are bonded together by covalent bonds, meaning they share electrons to form this bond. The oxygen is very big compared to the hydrogen, so it has a higher electronegative power than hydrogen. So if you say oxygen is more electronegative than hydrogen, it means that it has the power to drag the shared electrons more towards the oxygen. This makes the hydrogen slightly positively charged and the oxygen slightly negatively charged, okay? Because they form charges within the molecules, we call this a polar molecule or a bipolar molecule because it has two charges. So a characteristic of water is that it is a polar molecule, and this is because the oxygen has a more electronegative power than hydrogen. So why is it important that water to have to be a polar molecule is because since they have charges, they could form attractions between different water molecules. So if you look at the third picture here, the oxygen in one molecule has a negative charge, and you could see another water molecule here which has plus charges on the hydrogen. These form attractions called hydrogen bonds. Okay, so hydrogen bonds are intermolecular forces, bonds. And hydrogen bonds are very strong, so it requires high energy for them to break. Okay. Now, if we compare methane and water, the syllabus requires you to know the difference between water and methane, okay? Methane is a non-polar molecule. Water is a polar molecule, as we said before. So methane has van der Waals forces in between the molecules, which are very weak and does not require a lot of energy to break them. But water forms hydrogen bonds between molecules, which are very strong and needs lots of energy to break them. This is why the specific heat capacity and the latent heat of vaporization in water is much greater than that of methane. Specific heat capacity means the amount of energy required to increase the substance's temperature by 1 degree Celsius. Okay, and latent heat of vaporization means the amount of energy required to change the substance from a solid to, a liquid to a gas. Okay, so because of these two, because specific heat capacity and latent heat of vaporization is greater in water, the boiling point and melting point of water is much larger in water than in methane. So melting point is the temperature required for water to change from a solid state to a liquid state, which is 0 degrees Celsius. And boiling point is the temperature required for water to change from a liquid state to a gas state. Okay. Now, the properties of water. There are 4 properties you have to know about water. The first one is thermal property. It's related to the topic we just talked about. Water has a high specific heat capacity and a high latent heat of vaporization, meaning it needs a lot of energy to evaporate. Evaporate meaning it has to change from liquid to gas, okay? So where is this used in biology? Okay, it's used as a cooling mechanism for humans by using sweat. Okay, so if we talk about sweat, when our body temperature increases, when it's very hot outside, our sweat gland starts to produce sweat, and it covers the top surface of our skin. Okay, sweat is mostly composed of water. Okay, so the water in the sweat will absorb the heat from the blood flowing under the skin to evaporate, so for it to change from liquid to gas. Okay, so since it takes a huge amount of heat energy from the blood, this allows the blood to cool down, and in turn cools our whole body. Okay, so that's how sweat is used as a coolant in humans or animals. Okay, so the next property I'm going to talk about is solvent property. Okay, so the solvent property is that water is a universal solvent. This is because water has polarity. Water molecules are polar, meaning lots of different substances could be dissolved in it. Okay, this is good because then you could use it as a solvent to transport lots of material. And a big example of this is our blood. Okay, our blood consists of red blood cells and plasma. Plasma is about 95% water. Okay, since it's mostly composed of water, lots of substances can be dissolved in water and thus transported through our blood. Okay, so there are some examples they want to, in the syllabus, they mention for you to understand. One example is sodium chloride, salt. Okay, salt is an ionic compound, means sodium Na is an ion, so it's Na plus ion, and chloride is a negatively charged ions. Okay, so when they dissolve in water, as you can see in the diagram above, sodium chloride is a substance. When they dissolve in water, all ions get separated and they get surrounded by the polar water molecules. Okay, this is how they dissolve in water. So they are easily dissolved in water. Since sodium chloride is an ionic compound, it can easily dissolve in polar water solute. Okay, and glucose is also polar molecules, meaning it has charges, so it can easily dissolve in water as well. So it can also be transported through the blood plasma. Amino acids, these are the building blocks of protein. amino acids. Some are negatively charged, some are positively charged, and depending on what R group they have, they could be hydrophilic or hydrophobic. Hydrophilic means it likes water and it can connect with water. Hydrophobic means it's scared of water, so it repels water. But still, amino acids still have negative or positive charge at the end, so it could also mostly be dissolved in the blood plasma. So salt, glucose, amino acid, they could all be dissolved in water, so they can all be transported through the blood plasma. But there are some exceptions, which are fats. Okay, fats are oil. Like we know, oil do not mix with water, so it'll be hard for fat itself to be transported through our blood plasma because it will not dissolve in the water of the blood plasma. So instead of fat being directly transported, it needs a carrier, something to surround it so that it will help it dissolve in water and be transported through the blood plasma. This is called lipoprotein complex. So the lipoprotein is a special type of lipid, which is called phospholipid. These are polar lipids, okay? So they can easily dissolve in water. So phospholipid and a protein capsule surrounds the fat, for example, cholesterol, or the lipid inside, and then it helps it dissolve in water so that it can be transported through water in the blood plasma. Another exception is oxygen. Oxygen cannot be directly dissolved in water. They have to be transported by a special carrier we call the red blood cell. Okay, the red blood cell is the red circular cell. This binds with the oxygen, and then they get floated. They're transported through the blood or to all our bodies. So we have to know that because water is a polar molecule, sodium chloride, salt, glucose, amino acids could directly dissolve in water, but fat and oxygen, they have to have special carriers to be transported in the blood. Okay. So the other two properties I haven't talked about yet is the cohesive property and the adhesive property. These two go together, okay? Cohesive property is the attraction between one molecule and another molecule, okay? So attraction between the same thing, water and water. This is called cohesive property, okay? Sometimes on a table when you spill water, okay, and there are two droplets of water, if they get close enough, you can see that they drag each other and they combine into one big molecule, water droplet, right? This is because of the cohesive property. So where is this used in biology is that when in plants, when water is dragged up the plant stem, the water has attractions with each other so that the water can be continuously pulled up the xylem stem. Adhesive property is the bond between water and another substance. Okay, so attraction between water and another substance. This could be easily seen in a straw. When we use a straw to suck up the water attaches to the wall of the straw to climb up. Okay, so this is also used in biology and also used for the water to climb up the xylem stem in the water plant stem. So for water to be transported from the root to the stem to the leaves, both adhesive property and cohesive property are required, okay? So the adhesive property will be the attraction between water and the xylem wall, and the cohesive property will be the attraction between water and the water below, okay? So these two properties are required for water moving up plants, okay? Now, we've gone through all the major concepts. We'll be going through the past paper question. This is 2019 May paper 1. So where do hydrogen bonds form? Okay, they've got 4 different answers here. And you could see that they're talking about the charge of hydrogen and oxygen and whether the hydrogen bonds are between molecules or within a molecule, okay? So we all know from the diagram above that hydrogen is slightly positively charged and oxygen is slightly negatively charged because oxygen has a more electronegative power. So by that, we could see that A is wrong because of the charge. Hydrogen is not negatively charged, and D is wrong because hydrogen is negatively charged. So A and D are wrong. So looking at B and C, we have to see whether hydrogen bonds are within a water molecule or in different water molecules, between different water molecules. I told you within a molecule, they are connected by covalent bonds, but between one water molecule and another water molecule, they form hydrogen bonds. So the answer will be C, okay? Now, this is the syllabus 2.2 about water, and these are the topics that are required for you to understand from this topic. You could go through it. We've talked about the polarity of water, why it forms hydrogen bonds, and how it helps you understand the cohesive, adhesive, thermal, and solvent properties of water. Yep, we talk about hydrophilic and hydrophobic properties and the difference between methane and water, and how water is used as a coolant in sweat, and how water helps transporting glucose and amino acids and cholesterol and fats and oxygen and sodium in our blood. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed in class, and I'll hope to see you this summer. Thank you.